Hi, I am Reverend Edmond Kalume Katana, and this is the EVERGREEN Family Moments podcast, where roots run deep, faith grows strong, and no lesson ever expires. Um, Let me begin with the reason as to why I have chosen to begin this podcast. I don't know if you have been on social media and you saw that challenge about the children. Huyu ni mtoto wa Kang'ethe, huyu ni firstborn wa Kang'ethe. And when that challenge began, it started with a family person, and everyone in the family seemed to be okay. There was the children started off, the wife came in, and the hubby or the husband joined. And that was okay, but it took a turn because then there came another challenge which came online. And there was this family who were talking about, for them, the father, and they were saying that sisi ni wale watoto wa yule mzee amegongwa na lori. Meaning that the father was absent and the mother told the children that the dad had an accident. Of course, we know that this is not the case, but the mother wanted to find a way of telling these children that their father was not there, was not part of the family. Then there was another thing that came on social media that also shook me a bit. There was this lady who was confronting Mosiria from Nairobi, in the county government of Nairobi, because he had busted them in an exotic club where they were doing exotic dancing or stripping. And the lady said that, you broke my family. My husband divorced me because of that story. He saw my photo there. And he divorced me because he knew all along that I was working in the EPZ night shift. And that expose made him to break off the family. And many other incidences that showed that families were struggling, families were having a hard time. And because of that, although as Kenyans we take such moments with a lot of humor and we try and hide behind it, I saw a lot of hurt, I saw a lot of pain in families. And that is why I decided to take up this podcast, that we can come together and share, because biblically the family is supposed to be somewhere where there is hope, somewhere where there is peace, somewhere where there is love. And therefore I wanted to come up with a podcast where we would be looking at reaching families and families that would have peace, families that would have sustainability. And in Psalms 1 it talks about a tree that has been planted on a source of water, and therefore it is always green. And that is why and that is the motivation for the name Evergreen. That can we build families that are always watered, the families that are always green, and that they have a lot of sustenance. So I've started this podcast, and I will be trying as much as possible to get various people to come in, talk to various people on various topics, talk to various people on various areas that are affecting our families, and see how can we look at families in of course the contemporary way. How do we look at families, of course, in the biblical way? How do we look at families in ways that families can be able to grow in knowing Christ? Because there's solution in Christ. There's a solution in Christ. When you look at Colossians chapter 3 verse 18 to 21, it talks about how families need to live, how wives should behave, how husbands should behave, how children, how fathers should behave. When you look at Ephesians chapter 6, it teaches us. And there are so many other examples where we are taught how to live as families and be families that are evergreen. So in all this, I'll be looking at rooted conversations where families come together, talk together, share, meals together, pray together, because that is something that bonds families. I will be looking at shared responsibility, that each one of us has their role to play in making a family be the family that God ordained it to be. So we'll be talking about that shared responsibility. What is the role of the parents? What is the role of the children? What is the role of society? And what is the role of the church in making the families to be what they do? And of course, basing all this in the spiritual anchors. How do we take advantage of the word? As you are aware, Jesus Christ, even when he was being tempted by the devil, he went back to the Bible. He went back to the word and used the word to be able to protect, and use the word to be able to solve the temptations that he was facing. So I'm hoping that we'll have a wonderful time, that you will be able to join this podcast. I will be sharing the handles that we'll be using so that we can be able to speak, we can be able to talk, we can be able to come together, work together through this journey. And hopefully we'll be able to bless each other, we'll be able to bless our families, and we shall have families that are evergreen. Brethren, families are struggling currently. Families are facing grief. Families are struggling, and some are facing hopelessness. But in Christ, our families will be evergreen. Green in season, in and out of season, in and out of generation. So this has been the Evergreen Family Podcast. Stay rooted, stay growing, and until next time, stay evergreen. This is me, Reverend.